Welcome back. We've got another video for you guys to check out. So a couple weeks ago we did a video all about 5 tips for new hammockers. We had just kind of come out of the newbie hammocking phase and we wanted to kind of jot down our thoughts. We've been backpacking for a lot longer than we've been hammock camping.
A long time.
Long time. So we wanted to do a video that was 5 tips for new backpackers, you know, not specific to hammock camping, because we've been doing this for a while and there's definitely things you should know, you shouldn't know about.
Major lessons learned.
Major lessons learned. So
learn from our mistakes.
Learn from our mistakes. Let's get started. Tip number 1.
Number 1, numero uno.
Make sure when you go backpacking to carry your favorite sort of weapon and or archery device.
I prefer the crossbow.
Andy's more of a crossbow guy. I'm a compound. You know, it only adds about 10 or 15 pounds to your base weight.
Yeah.
We're obviously joking. Actual tip number 1.
Real tip number 1.
Do not stress out about your base weight. I think when I started, I think the weight of just my big 3 was 15 pounds. Don't worry about base weight. When you go out there, you want gear that you're comfortable in, that you're comfortable using, that you know how to use, that you know how to troubleshoot if something breaks with it. Do not worry about how much it weighs. The base weight will naturally come down as you backpack more, but the very first couple times you go out there, just get gear that you know how to use, that you're comfortable using, and that you don't have to worry about. And then if you do like backpacking, you can start to upgrade, obviously. But tip number 1 is do not fret about your base weight. There will come a time, like us, when we both have Excel spreadsheets where every item is meticulously weighed.
Yeah, but you'll work your way into
You'll work your way up to that.
Just get out there.
Just get out there and don't worry about how much stuff weighs. Yep. People were backpacking with like 60 pounds on their back in the day.
It's way more than that.
Yeah, way more than that probably.
Way more than that.
But tip number 1, don't fret about your base weight. Moving on, tip number 2. Rodos. Try and backpack with other people when you first start doing this, and preferably with people that have done it before. I know that is not possible for a lot of people, so if you can't find other people to backpack with, go backpacking to a place where you know there's going to be other people there. Like in Ohio, we have state forests where you have to stay at pre-set camping areas, and there's always other people there. If you can't satisfy either of those 2 things, go to a place where you know you have a good chance of getting cell service. You just don't want to have to worry about stuff, and certainly if you can go with other people that have done this before, you'll learn a lot.
Yeah, I mean, get on message boards, Facebook groups, forums. There's lots of meetups and stuff, especially as a new backpacker. You'll learn so much from other people who have been, you know, backpacking for a while. So
yeah, tip number 2 is try and go with other people. If you can't go with other people, go to places where you know there's going to be people around. And then if you can't do either of those, try and go somewhere where you might have cell service. You'll worry less. You won't have these what if scenarios in your head, and then you'll probably learn a lot if there's other people there. Tip number 3. Trace. This is something I didn't start doing till way late into backpacking. After you go the first couple times, after you go every single time, lay out every single piece of gear you took with you. Everything. Like everything you wore, everything that was in your pack, and go through every single item and really critically analyze, did you use it at all? Did you need to bring it? You're gonna, when you're backpacking, you kind of go from this mentality of, okay, what do I need to bring, to, okay, what do I don't need to bring? Because I think especially with clothing and like toiletry and little things like that, you're gonna bring all this stuff and you're not gonna end up using it. And that is one way, going back to tip number 1, to start cracking out your base weight, is just critically really analyze, did I use these items? Do I need to bring them again? You know, and then maybe depending on what kind of trips you go on, items could swap out like that. But really, for tip number 3, after you go the first couple times, critically analyze every single piece of equipment you brought.
Tip number 4.
Cinco.
Quattro. Tip number 4. Buy used gear whenever possible. As a new backpacker, your gear will evolve so quickly that you will want to swap out stuff. You'll be doing research. You'll want the newest and best.
spending money.
Yeah, spending money. So buy used gear, forums, message boards, the garage sales, like the REI garage sales. In fact, check out our video on the REI garage sale. We'll link it up here or here somewhere.
There.
I don't know.
There.
Okay. So yeah. So whenever possible, buy used gear. You will save yourself so much money. And there's also a big used gear market, and you should be able to sell it too.
I think I'm on my 4th pack. I'm on my 4th pack, my 3rd sleeping system, and then I went through several tents. I don't know, what are you on?
Who knows? I don't know. But this is just a natural progression for most people. Now, obviously, there are people out there who have been using the same gear since day number 1, and that's cool. But I think most people will tell you your gear will change so much, and there's such a good used gear market out there. Try to buy used, especially as a new backpacker. Tip number 5.
Number 5?
Cinco.
Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tip number 5, and this is probably the only one where we specifically talk about gear, but invest in your sleep.
Yeah.
This is probably, in my opinion, one of the most important things out there. Most people would agree, if you have to spend lots of money on some type of gear, it should be something related to sleep. So a really good sleeping pad, a really nice tent, or not necessarily tent, but maybe sleeping pad and sleeping bag.
Yeah. Clothes, sleeping clothes.
Sleeping clothes, yeah. Anything related to sleep. That's probably where you want to spend the most money as a new backpacker. Lack of sleep or getting a poor night's sleep will ruin your trip. Invest in your sleep. If you find a sleeping pad that weighs a lot, but you are going to get a good night's sleep on it, it is worth it to carry those extra ounces.
For sure.
For sure. Nothing ruins a trip more than not sleeping at night.
Especially a multi-day trip.
Yeah.
Where you have to recover from hiking hard miles all day, and you recover while you sleep. And if you get terrible sleep, you're just going to have a miserable time.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the main reasons why we use hammocks.
Yeah.
So everybody's different, but, spend that extra money on anything related to sleep. It'll help out so much, and you'll have a much more enjoyable experience as a new backpacker.
So that wraps it up for us, our 5 tips for new backpackers. In summary, don't stress out about your base weight. Try and go with other people if you can, or go be around other people, or go somewhere where you have cell service if that's possible. Critically analyze all of the gear you bring after you get back.
Buy used gear whenever possible, and invest in sleep.
So that wraps it up for us. Let us know your tips for new backpackers. I'm sure there's some veteran backpackers that are watching this, and people would like to know.
Yep.
So thank you guys for watching. As always, like, dislike, subscribe, unsubscribe. Check us out on Instagram.
Yeah, I don't know.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching.